So good day everyone. Today I will be going to tackle about classes of wildlife. So in the Northern Territory or NT, every species of plant and animals is classified according to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature or IUCN read list categories and criteria. So the use of read list is shows us where and what actions needs to be taken to save the building blocks of nature from extinction. It's provide a straightforward way to factor biodiversity needs into decision-making process by providing a wealth of useful information on species. So species are assessed against five criteria, A to E, that consider all of the following. Population size, including number of subpopulations, the area occupied by the species and the size of its population, the number of locations where the species has been found, any trends or changes to the characteristics above. So A to E criteria is used to evaluate if a taxon belongs in a threatened category, critically endangered, or vulnerable. So here's the structure of the IUCN read list categories. First is extinct, extinct in the wild, critically endangered, vulnerable, near threatened, less concerned, data deficient, and not evaluated. So the critically endangered and vulnerable are belongs to the threatened categories. First category is extinct. A species is extinct when there is no reasonable doubt that the last individual has died. To call a species extinct, there must have been surveys carried out to look for the species across its previously known range. The survey needs to also consider the life cycle of the species and the times of year when it might be located there. So what is an extinct species? Extinction is the disappearance of an entire species. If a species does not have the genetic traits to survive in its environment, then the species will eventually become extinct forever. So here are some examples of extinct animals. Galapagos tortoise, dinosaurs, Tiller sea cow, laughing owl, Bali tiger, thylacine, quagga, and dodo bird. Next is extinct in the wild. A species is extinct in the wild when it is known only to survive in cultivation, in captivity or unnaturalized population, outside the range they once lived in. Calling a species needs for there to have been similar surveys to those done for extinct species. Next is critically endangered. A species is critically endangered when all the evidence shows that the species meets at least one of the IUCN criteria A to E for critically endangered. Then it is then at an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. In cases where a species may be extinct but where not all surveys have been done to show the species absence, the species may be classified in possibly extinct subcategory. These species are considered threatened in the NT. Here are the examples of critically endangered and extinct in the wild. In critically endangered, there are leatherback sea turtle, red wolf, mountain gorilla, and in the extinct wild, there are Barbary lion, northern white rhinoceros, and Wyoming toad. In endangered, a species is endangered when all evidence shows that it meets at least one of the IUCN criteria A to E for endangered species, indicating it is facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. These species are considered threatened in the NT. Vulnerable. A species is vulnerable when all the evidence shows that it meets at least one of the IUCN criteria A to E for vulnerable, indicating that it is facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. These species are considered threatened in the NT. So here are the example of vulnerable and endangered species examples. In vulnerable, there are fossa, Galapagos tortoise, clouded leopard, and endangered, there are orangutan, blue whale, and hyacinth macaw. Less concern is the species is less concerned when there is sufficient information available to make an assessment and it is not classified as critically endangered, vulnerable, or near threatened. Species that are widespread with high numbers are in this category. Data deficient. A species is data deficient when there is not enough information to make a direct or indirect assessment of its risk of extinction, based on distribution and/or population. Data deficient is not a category or threatened species, but data deficient species should not be assumed to be safe. A species in this category may be well studied and well known, but there is not enough specific data on numbers and distribution. Species in this category need more information, and future research will probably show that they need to be classified as threatened. Not evaluated. A species is not evaluated when it is not been assessed against the criteria. This may be because the species is a rare visitor to the territory of that the taxonomy of the species has recently changed or is unclear. Threatened species. Species that have been classified as extinct in the wild, critically endangered, or vulnerable are the threatened species and have greater protection in the Enter the Territory Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act 1976. Number of threatened species in each category are shown in bold in the table below. Find out about threatened animals and threatened plants. So please click the link to see the threatened animals and threatened plants. So here's the threatened species examples. A threatened species may soon become endangered. Examples include the newels, townsends, shearwater, and the green sea turtle. Classification of anti-species. The number of species and subspecies in each category for each of the major groups are listed in the next slide. So here's the number of species and subspecies in each category. So mammals in extinct there are 16, and EW1, CR4, EN8, VU13, NT17, 63 in LC, DD23, 2 in NE, and the total is 147. In birds, in X there are 2, in W, EW is 0, CR5, EN3, VU19, NT34, LC 291, DD81, 57 in is the total of 429. In reptiles, in EX there are 0, EW0, CR1, EN3, VU12, and NT8. Also 243, DD43, NE0, and the total is 310. Group of frogs, there are 0 in EX, 0 in W, 0 in CR, 0 in EN, 1 in VU, 1 in NT, 46 in LC, 5 in DD, and 0 on NT. The total is 53. Invertebrates, EX0, EW0, CR2, EN4, VU25, NT5, LC110, 45 in DD, NE is 50,000 less than, and the total is 191. Animal total, animal total, 18 in EX, 1 in EW, CR 12, EN 18, and VU 70, NT 65, LC 753, DD 137, NE 59, and the total is 1,133. In plants, 0EX, 0EW. In CR, there are 3, EN 24, VU 54, NT 417, LC 3,148, DDT 862, NE 7, total 4,515. The total in EX is 810, 1 in EW, 15 in CR, 42 in EN, VU 124, NT 482, LC 3,901, DD 999, and NE is 66, and the total is 5,648. Fish, 0EX, EW 0, CR 0, EN 1, and the VU is 7. So that's all. Thank you.